Rick and Morty is a show that already cemented itself as one of the all-time greats. Not just in adult animation, but in animation as a whole. Look, it's no secret that I'm a big Rick and Morty fan, with even a few videos already being posted here on the channel. As some of you may know if you watched my last video, June is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I decided to take a look at how certain shows and movies portray the themes of mental health struggles within male characters. In our last video, we talked about Soya Ishida and his journey through his guilt and depression. Now I want to talk about the trauma of Rick Sanchez from the mentioned C-137. Within the many seasons of Rick and Morty, what may seem like a simple episodic storytelling actually hides a deeply rooted and complex narrative, especially when it comes to our main character, Rick Sanchez. Only in recent seasons has the show revealed crucial moments from Rick's past, many of which were subtle foreshadowing through dialogues and one-off gags. But from the very beginning, it was clear to the viewer that Rick was hiding something that created a rift between him and people he loved, including his friends and family. And what was this canon event that took place within Rick's life? Well, we'll get to that later. Right now, I want to focus on how Rick was characterized throughout the whole series of Rick and Morty. At first glance, when we look at Rick as a character, you can say he's nihilistic, reckless, egotistical, cynical, and just flat out displays a lot of self-destructive behavior, all while being a overall funny comedic character. In my words, he has the intelligence of Doctor Who mixed with the humor of Deadpool and the behavior of BoJack Horseman. So yeah, he's definitely a complex character, alright? Out of all the things Rick is, the one thing that makes him stand out from his infinite counterparts across the central finite curve is that he cares. Not only does he cares about himself, but he also cares about his friends and family. And in recent seasons, he even developed a closer bond with Jerry of all people. As you can see, he's clearly evolving and changing as a character. What I'm getting at throughout the whole series is that there are many key moments where the writers show us just how human Rick actually is. Behind that ego, that god complex, that narcissism, all of it is just a shield, a wall you could say, a mask even. Behind all this sci-fi and crazy shenanigans Rick puts himself into, remove all of that and what you have left is just a broken individual. A person just like the rest of us. A complex person with all their flaws, only to be hidden. One of the first moments that comes to mind is Season 1 Episode 10, Close Rick Encounters of the Rick Kind. In this episode, we see a scene between C-137 and Evil Rick, aka Evil Morty, where Evil Morty hits us with the most fundamental rules of Rick and Morty, which is Ricks don't care about Mortys. This is a statement reinforced through every season of Rick and Morty. Just before this exchange, we see Rick crying while looking at memories of Morty when he was a baby. This scene itself had the community in a literal chokehold for the longest time, me included. But why? Because it's one of the rare moments of the time when we get to see Rick, this nihilistic egomaniac character, get emotional for the very first time. And two, this episode itself sets the stage on how Rick and Morty's relationship really is. And I'm not talking about our Rick and Morty, I'm talking about what is the status quo for the relationship. Because when Rick and Morty was hiding from the citadel of Ricks, Morty was genuinely happy realizing that across the infinite timelines that the relationship was still the same. Rick goes on to shut this down as he explains the only real use of a Morty to Rick is to be used as a cloak, a way to max the high intelligence of a Rick. This explanation serves to instantly devalue the relationship, reinforcing the idea that Ricks, even our Rick, are just using Mortys as a means to an end. But of course, this was disproven when it was revealed that on some level, C-137 does care. Not just about Morty, but his entire family. This is shown in Season 3, Episode 1, The Rick Shank Redemption. The Rick Shank Redemption is one of the greatest season premieres in Rick and Morty history, packed with moments that shaped the later seasons. One of those key moments was a standoff between C-137 and Rick 4, where it was revealed that C-137 is considered a rogue Rick, a Rick who has a rational love and passion for his family, but why? We're going to leave a pin on that for now. Another important thing that happens in this episode is how the writers were able to foreshadow Rick's backstory 2 seasons earlier with the seemingly subtle introduction of Rick Prime. The show does a great job building up the mystique and the presence of Rick Prime. Rick even later calls him the real deal, the one who truly doesn't care about anyone but himself, the worst versions of them all. And the way Rick speaks about him, you can feel the fear in his voice. He knows that he's truly outmatched, but he doesn't care because the one thing driving him forward is revenge, the one thing he believes that might bring him closure. Rick Prime is a completely different monster altogether. He's the Rick we perceive our Rick to be, truly detached, embodies what it is to be a true Rick. He's more ruthless, more capable, and superior in every sense of the word. Some might even say he's the Rickest Rick. Rick Prime is an essential piece in the story of C-137 because he's the one who set him on this self-destructing path. A path that ultimately led to the deep depressive state we see glimpses of throughout the whole series. In the most literal sense, Rick hates himself for what he's done to others, multiverse and for what he's become. He feels remorse every time he hurts someone he cares about, but that guilt only creates more of a distance. It seems like deep down he doesn't believe he deserves any love or happiness. Not after what happened to him earlier within his life. So what happened? It was revealed after rejecting Rick Prime's proposal to join him and the rest of their counterparts to wander throughout the infinite multiverse. Rick Prime retaliated by killing C-137's Beth and Diane, taking his choice away by forcefully removing the very family he chose not to abandon. In doing so, Rick Prime didn't just hurt him, he shattered everything our Rick ever wanted in life by taking his family from him, leaving him forever haunted by the one person who took it all away, himself. This of course led to Rick on a rampage throughout the multiverse, killing every Rick variant he could find in efforts of hunting down Rick Prime. It was a path of destruction that ultimately ruined his own life, driving him to the brink of complete madness. As time went on, we see how this pursuit slowly corrupted Rick's life. It completely warped and changed his outlook on life. In his mind, the only way to fix this pain was to kill the man who took it all away from him. The death of Rick Prime serves as a lesson, both to the audience and to C-137 himself. It shows us how we were all convinced that we wanted this one thing, a climactic resolution within the lore of Rick and Morty, breaking away from the show's usual episodic structure. But for C-137, that resolution came at a cost. He devoted his entire life, his entire purpose to getting revenge on Prime, only to be left with emptiness once it was over. What this allowed was for the show to explore Rick as a character even more, bringing both of us to uncharted territory. Because he got what he wanted, we got what we wanted, but it simply wasn't enough. In life, we often think we know what it will take to make us happy, even in our most darkest moments. But in reality, true healing comes not by going on our own way, but finding a healthier path. The way I see it, it's obvious that Rick pretends to be this nihilistic, reckless, egotistical person, but that's just a fancy mask. It's something that he uses to keep the people around him at a distance, so he can suffer all alone. This is a common trait with people dealing with depression and isolation, feeling like they don't deserve anyone in their lives. And why wouldn't Rick think this? Because of being who he is, that's what ultimately led to his original Beth and his wife Diane's death. And not only that Diane died, she was erased throughout infinity, meaning as no matter how much dimension Rick travels through, he's constantly reminded that he would never find the one person who matters to him the most. So he goes on pretending to be this guy that he's not, only hiding and shutting himself away inside, thinking this is the only way to protect the people he loves. Wubba lubba dub dub, the iconic catchphrase constantly being spat out by Rick. The catchphrase itself is actually a cry for help. According to Bird Person, the phrase actually comes from his people. It actually translates to "I'm in great pain, please help me." As we know, this is an open cry for help that only a few people know the true meaning of, a cry of help from a man truly suffering. Rick and Morty will always be one of my favorite shows. Even through recent years, the show has faced some harsh and somewhat justified criticism. I like the direction the series is taking with Rick's development and his personal journey through his own trauma. I believe when it's all said and done, we can take a look back and see how impactful and well crafted this story actually was. It's always a good time making these Rick and Morty videos. I'll take any chance to get when it comes to talking about this show. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment the word Rick Prime if you made it this far. Until next time, I'm your host Take It, and we do a little reviewing around here. Peace out.